Hello, Uta here of Trans Widow Uta Hagen YouTube channel with Mountain Mint in bloom. Doesn't it have interesting little flowers? It attracts lots of bees and wasps and butterflies. And I also have, I'm pretty sure this is spearmint. It has more of a lavender hued bloom. All my mint is in bloom in my mint garden. And I believe this is peppermint. Now, I also wanted to show you my big success, which is a little seedling that must have come from these seeds. And this is a plant, a North American wildflower called beard tongue. I always want to call it goat's beard. I don't know why. If any of you have an idea why my mind wants to do that, please write it in the comments. Now, our channel here is Trans Widow Uta Hagen, and my WordPress blog, always listed in the notes, is utahagengrasswidow.wordpress.com. I just want to first tell you just a little adventure I seem to be having when I'm putting comments in various YouTube comment sections, and I'm simply saying that there's a new title of the psychiatric illness of cross-sex ideation, and that title appropriately puts this problem, this malady, into the OCD area. And the title of that illness, more correctly named by PhD psychologist Elliot Kamenetsky, is identity-based obsessive-compulsive disorder. And that's good news because there are already a whole series and list of remedies to deal with obsessive thinking and behavior, and it is a difficult malady to have, the OCD. And it requires really, really focused effort to retrain your thinking and change your behavior to more productive behaviors. So it's just interesting. I've been getting these warnings that I have violated hate speech rules on YouTube with these comments, which in my mind are good news and optimistic, because why would someone prefer to take wrong sex hormones and have surgeries that damage your urinary tract for the malady of cross-sex ideation? And I think it's especially important for people like child psychologist Elliot Kamenetsky to make this point. And I hope that the American Psychological Association and the AMA and the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, will adopt this new way of thinking, because my sense is that this psychologist, Dr. Kamenetsky, is having really good success helping children to get over obsessive thinking and behavior patterns. And the thing is, the obsessive thinking, as I know from my ex-husband Nettie, it does not go away after you've been taking the opposite sex hormones and having sex trait modification surgeries to make your body appear to be what it is not, because you know that your body is not the fantasy. It is not the opposite sex. That's all. If you are born with XY chromosomes, you simply cannot become a female, and you are a male. And so there's this person out in Australia, down under, whose assumed name is Roxanne Tickle. And he has been really harassing the Australian women's rights advocate Sall Grover, who is a new mother. Congratulations to Sall. She had originated an app that is just for women, and um, uh, inserted a AI, uh, whatever you call it, testing service in it, whereby the AI can accurately identify whether you are male or female from a photo. Um, and it can, I guess, tell if you've doctored the photo or something, or used filtered filters, and so that's how she keeps XY men out of her Giggle for Girls all female platform, where she just wanted uh, straight women and lesbians and bisexual or whatever to have a chance to talk to women about women's things without any men making comments, and especially without men of using various methods to figure out where a woman lives and go stalk her and things like that, because Sall Grover has some experience with that, having worked in the American film industry before she returned to Australia and started a family. So, a trans identified male, Roxanne Tickle, filed a discrimination complaint against her with the Australian Human Rights Commission. And because this Roxanne Tickle had been barred from using the female only platform Giggle for Girls after he was identified by Sal as a male. And I guess the AI missed that one. I mean, there is a 3% failure rate, but Sal saw this right away, and maybe from some things he said as well, knew that he's a male, so boom, you're out. So, yes, and Justice Bromwich referred to Tickle throughout the uh, process with feminine pronouns, of course. And the judge said things like Roxanne Tickle is a transgender woman whose female sex is recognized by an official updated Queensland birth certificate. I have found that Ms. Tickle's claim of direct gender identity discrimination fails, but that her claim of indirect gender identity discrimination succeeds. Now, what has happened is, along with other civil rights legislation to protect racial minorities and to protect women from sex discrimination, the gender identity category has been inserted. Now, this case is known as Tickle versus Giggle, and we women are quite concerned about how how this is going to play out internationally and all. Oh, yes, I wanted to mention that on my blog on WordPress, the notes of which are always in the link is always in the notes. That is utahagengrasswidow.wordpress.com. I have this whole article. This is from the brilliant Genevieve Gluck at her website called Redux, REDUXX.com. And I have put a post on my blog with all of this. And I do recommend that you go ahead and subscribe and support Genevieve Gluck's work, because it's just amazing. But you can find it on my blog, and feel free to make some comments. Those always get posted after I have reviewed them there. And I I hope that my blog and this channel are not going to be threatened after this. I do notice that these men who have identity-based obsessive compulsive disorder are getting more and more aggressive about reporting biological reality-based women And so that is, something that we'll be dealing with. Now, I'm not surprised that it was ruled this way. Um, oh, yes. And this is another thing because I mentioned this previously that often these cross dressing dudes who often have sexual fetishes, I'll get to that in a little bit regarding this Roxanne Tickle, um, they also claim to be intersex, which is sort of a defunct term for disorders of sexual development, um, which is, what those male boxers in the Olympics in the women's category beating up women uh, are believed to have. Tickle, a man who claims to be both intersex and transgender, claimed he attempted to join the female only app in February 2021, but found that his membership was revoked in September that year. So he went under the radar for about 6 months or so. The Giggle app utilizes a screening process which uses AI to determine the sex of an applicant based on a selfie. Tickle was initially granted access to the female only digital community by the AI. Let's see, I just want to find this. So the court case is known as Tickle versus Giggle, so that's really something. And here it is, a little bit more information about this character, Roxanne Tickle. On his personal Instagram account, Tickle has also shared photos of his underwear. I'm not sure if it's of him in his underwear. I'm not going to bother to research that. And jokes about sex toys, and several cartoons drawn by Canadian transgender diaper fetishist Sophie LaBelle. So there you see this identity-based obsessive-compulsive disorder is really taking this person in Canada, Sophie LaBelle, into some pretty dysfunctional behavior involving an adult putting on a diaper. Recently, Tickle said on X that the youngest girl he competes with on a field hockey team down under in Australia is only 15 years old. I'm sure that really gets him off. Okay, so when I made my little post on the community post section here, several of you said, oh, this is just disgusting and, how terrible that we're going to have to fight back. But I'm not surprised. And I think in many ways, this will bring the issue to the attention of many people that haven't known about this. They haven't known that in the law, this whole extra category of transgender, and then they inserted intersex, which I don't know what that has anything to do with, because you can figure out what sex you are biologically by doing a very simple cheek swab chromosomal test. And as I said, intersex is an anachronism because disorders of sexual development is the more accurate term. Okay, so this is what what this Mr. Tickle said. I believe I am being discriminated against by being provided with extremely limited functionality of a smartphone app by the app provider compared to that of other users because I am a transgender woman. One thing I want to note about that, oh, there was a goldfinch outside. One thing I want to note about that is that there are lots and lots of platforms where so-called transgender men, that is, men with identity-based obsessive-compulsive disorder, are posting all of their worries and all of their life's events and stuff like that, and asking for advice and giving advice and all this. And they're on Reddit, and there are Facebook groups, there are all kinds of groups. Okay, so, oh yes, here's another good point. The Australian Human Rights Commission barrister, attorney, Zelly Heger, told the court that sex was no longer defined in the Discrimination Act, but that, importantly, the Act recognizes that a person's sex is not limited to being male or female. Let me just say that again. This is how the laws are playing out when gender identity is substituted for sex in the law. The attorney for the Human Rights Commission in Australia told the court that sex was no longer defined in the Sex Discrimination Act. Sex is not defined, but that importantly, the Act recognizes a person's sex is not limited to being male or female. So let's see. I think that's about it. You can go to my blog to find out anything else about this. Oh, I also want to mention another fallout or ramification of this. The Australian government has recently come under fire for censoring citizens critical of gender identity ideology. Multiple women have experienced retaliation for speaking out. Last year, Kiralee Smith was visited by New South Wales police after speaking to media about Riley Dennis, famous American man who thinks he's female, who had been the subject of mass complaint after injuring female players competing in a women's football, we call it soccer over here, league. Smith's public Facebook page was also removed at the request of Australia's e-safety commissioner, Julie Inman Grant. Traitor. So, I must go out and plant my new little seedlings. Do take care. Don't be upset. Go outside. Experience nature. Smell the flowers. Count the butterflies. And be strong. We will do it.